Hello, welcome back to the channel. I'm going to be making a full song here in front of you in the rap, hip hop, trap, R&B-esque. Going to be going over topics like sampling, drums, and the hat, the kick, the snare, going over BPM, bass, song structure, as well as transitions, lyrics, and I'm going to be doing all of this with as much brevity as possible while trying to cram in as many pro tips as possible, so that way I give you maximum value out of this video. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. Starting off, you want to find a sample. I typically I use Splice because it's royalty-free samples and it makes things relatively easy to find. You can also just go to Google and type in royalty-free samples and find that. An issue that a lot of people will have is they'll find samples with too much on it, right? They only want one element. A lot of DAWs can fix this, digital audio workstations, and I'll actually show you this here. This probably won't be the sample that I'll use, but you can take this sample, and I believe this one's actually just drums, but you can actually take this and extract stems from the sample, and you can extract whatever you particularly just want out of it, and get those pieces, and then just use them however you would like. However, I'm going to just find my own sample that I like, and we'll go from there. So I picked up this sample here that I'll let you guys hear as I talk. Really all I was looking for was just something that kind of caught my ear and that I knew that I could kind of build something into. Now I already know with this sample I'm going to try and pitch it up a little bit. I'm probably going to chop out the low end so that I can kind of do my own manipulation with that. So what I'm going to do is take this, pitch it up about 600 cents. So all I did was take this range and put it to 6, crank the knob up. Now we're going to hear it a little bit higher pitched, which is pretty cool. And I put it to either Stretch or Stretch Pro. There we go. Stretch Pro is going to preserve the format and gives you more manipulation over the format. You can look that up. Or you can just do regular Stretch if you want. So that gives you that nice little chipmunk voice. Although I might actually keep that. The other thing I know I'm going to do is, so I have this sent to the 5th mixer track. Right here. I'm going to take this and pull up what's called an EQ. And this is basically just a visual representation of all the frequencies that are happening. And I'm going to take out the little bit of low end that's kind of still there, put on a high pass filter. You can hear it's just kind of, that's all the high frequencies, right? I'm just going to keep it right there. So that way it's just a smidge of low end because it had a bass line, but we pitched it up and then took most of that bass out anyways. And now I'm just kind of chopping out the rest anyways. So it gives me room to kind of put drums and manipulate my own bass, which, like I said, we'll get to. The other thing that I did that was not on screen was I took the BPM and I took it from 130 to 91, just because that's the BPM, the beats that the sample's originally at that I found. The other thing that I do want to mention with this sample is that it actually goes out 8 bars. So one of the issues with sampling is things aren't super versatile, right? You have a lot less manipulation over it because you just have a sample. There's a lot of things you can do, but since you only have the 8 bars, or since you have the sample, it can get a little repetitive. If you have 8 bars in which you can work with 8 measures, then it gets a little less repetitive for the listener, so that's good. Next thing that I'm going to cover, so I'm just going to start going one by one with the drums. And I'm really just going to put them on and show you what it looks like. Starting off simplistically though, I'm just going to do a simple snare hit on the 2 and the 4. Most genres have the snare on the 2 and the 4. Really helps keep the beat of the song, gets that head bob going if you do it right. Although a lot of songs you'll have it where some of the snares will get a little funky, just adds a little bit of a different groove to it. But this, we're going to keep it pretty simple. I'll probably just use snare 8 here. It's got a nice long tail, kind of help fill out the beat a little bit. And like I said, just putting on the 2nd and 4th beat of every measure, and then you'll almost feel like it really almost transforms the beat if I actually put it down. Alright, starting to kind of get that little bit of a rhythmic flow to it. The next thing that I like to add is the kick. And I think because I'm going to go for a little more hip-hoppy feel with this, I'm going to get a little bit bigger of a kick. I actually like this one a decent amount. I typically always put one kick on the downbeat, which is right here at the beginning. So just right when it starts, you get that beat. Then from there, the kick, you kind of have options in which, really on how you want to do it. You could do it on the first and third, and this gives you a very stable backbone. Or you could even do it, it's called 4 to the floor, 1 every 4 beats. And it's a very danceable beat. It's very solid, really easy for the listener to lock onto. But once again, it'll get a little stale, can get a little repetitive, and that's really what we're trying to avoid when we're initially starting with a sample, so I'm not going to do that. What I'm actually going to do is more listen to the melody and then put down kicks in accordance to where I feel they should hit with that melody. And like I said, just every time your head would kind of bob forward, you just feel there should be a kick. That's where I'm going to go and place down those kicks just to make it a little bit more dynamic and easier for the listener, harder for it to get repetitive, I should say. Alright, so I got the kicks down. I'll show you that here in a moment. The other thing that I did want to mention, I found that on the master track, I actually had an equalizer chopping up the low end. I must have been messing with something. So anyways, these kicks are going to hit a little harder than they were just a couple seconds ago. Anyways, here it is. I basically followed the melody, but I did go have a little bit of variation. I'm going to show you a cool trick I did as well. Now, if you guys can hear, but on some of the drums, the velocity is actually dropped to make it a ghost kick. So like here, almost that second drum right behind it is just more impactful. It gives you kind of this like downward swinging motion. I think my most prominent one's over here. Right here. Boom. Gives it a little bit more of a swing to it, almost like you're dropping before the kick hits. And all I did to adjust that was down here. I took the velocity and took it way down. So that way it's almost inaudible, but the audience can more so feel it than hear it, right? Just gives it that a little bit more of that swinging motion. Makes the sample, once again, just a little bit more interesting, and I think it fits well here. This is something you can also do with snares. You can put down a ghost snare. So you can put it like here. Let's see, take it the whole way back. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And actually, it feels a little loud, and I don't think it's actually super necessary for that spot. That kind of works nice and quiet there. I'm going to put it one closer. It's not too bad, but I don't know if I'll keep it. Yeah, I don't want it there. But you can do that with snares. Something else with snares you can do as well, for a nice easy transition for the listener later, you can actually put down just a double snare at the very end. Signals to the listener that a transition is going to be coming. So it's a handy little trick to kind of keep in mind. So you can kind of hear the beats really starting to come together. However, since I shifted the pitch up and chopped out the low end with an equalizer, what that's doing is it's really leaving the low end pretty vacant, pretty open. And so this kind of leads us nicely into the bass. And there's a couple different choices you can really do for a bass to kind of fill out that low end. You can do a live bass, you can do a synth bass, you can do an 808. And as you might guess, since I'm doing more of a rap, trap, kind of hip-hop beat, I'm going to go more towards that 808 type feel, because it's really good for filling out that low end. Live basses are good for something, and that could actually fit here as well, a more kind of groovy feel. However, like I said, I'm still kind of leaning towards the 808. And then for a synth bass, this is really good for like that EDM style track. So if you did like the drums before, where it's more of a 4 to the floor type deal, the really stable drum hit with a snare, then kind of going more of a synth bass would be pretty good. Like I said, I'm going to go for more of the 808 because it's just going to really help fill out that low end. I'll just start that somehow. I think that's actually really nice. It's nice and soft, and it kind of goes nicely with the sample. That bass 2 also goes really nice. I'm gonna go with the 808 here. This is from Capital Drum Kit 5 from Simon Servita. If anyone's interested in getting it, it's really good. And I use it a lot. So the drums are for the kicks, and the 808, making the bass here, it's really easy. You can actually just copy and then paste it, and you still have some work you have to do. Why am I not hearing it? What's going on here? Let's see. There we go. I have an EQ on this. Yeah, I do. Yeah, because I have this sample there to take out the low end. So, let me turn this up a little bit. And we can hear, I don't get too loud up in my own voice, but we can hear that little bit of bass kind of filling out that low end. It's very, very smooth, nice and subtle. You could really go and kind of pound this bass into the next century by adding like saturation or distortion to it. So you could take like Blood Overdrive here for distortion and just really get it moving. But I don't think this track needs it. It's a very gentle sample, and I just really want to keep it nice and smooth like it is. And so a nice trick to do with the bass, so it's not super overpowering, is just go and make it cut itself. So what's happening is that elongated tail, the sound form, that isn't going to continually overlap every single time that bass runs into the next one, right? Because every time that note's played, that tail is going to keep flowing along. And if you keep letting that happen, right, you're just going to have this really large buildup of bass, and it's going to sound all funky and muddy and weird. So go and have it cut itself, so that way every time another note plays, it actually chops off that bass tail. And then another level above this, which is super cool, you can take and have the kick. You can set it to cut itself so you get the number. So it'll cut 2 and it'll cut by 2. You can set, since we just followed the bass with our 808 here, you can have it be cut by 2, right? So now the kick is actually cutting the 808. And with the 808, the rule of thumb is, it has to be gone in order for you to miss it. If you just have bass pounding the entire time, it's going to get really old and repetitive. So you can take it, so let's say you have it on the first note, and our kicks are going to mirror this entirely. We can have it, let's say, take away this one. So right there, you can hear when that kick plays, it takes away that bass. And then we're going to chop up the 808 very similarly. So it gives it just a little bit more, like I said, you'll miss it a little bit when it's gone, and when it comes back and it's reintroduced, it's a lot more exciting for the audience, keeps them more engaged. So the 808s here are done. Kind of hear how this goes. And it's still pretty smooth. The 808s typically being a little more aggressive, it's still pretty smooth, pretty nice. I actually want to take this though, and just control them down, move this down an octave. Just make it a little smoother. Another trick though that you can do, so the key for this sample is D major. If we take this, we can put this, go to view, come down scale highlighting, and then see, we can put major, come back, gotta do it again, then we come up to D, right? And all the background here is going to highlight the scale that we should, proper scale. We want to make sure those 808s are in key. But we could take this, and heck, we could put it up, get a really wild sound here, and we could adjust this for each pitch. Once again, I don't think the sample needs it, but you can have it. That sounds a little weird, but and get really kind of freaky with your 808s. But once again, with this sample being so calm, I really don't feel it's needed. I think the steady one's pretty good. Maybe I will keep it right here. I'm actually going to move my drums up a little bit as well, just to keep everything nice and in key. Not that you really have to, but I like to do it. So everything's in key. We've just done our bass and gone through and done all of our sampling, put down all the drums, nothing super crazy, set the BPM. We are as well going to put down our hats just to give it a little bit more life. And so with that, I'm going to go in here, just find something that I like. It's going to be under my cymbals. So as you can probably tell, I have a lot more done than I did just a couple moments ago. And the reason for that is my OBS stopped recording. So what I'm going to do is give you guys, I'm going to let you listen to the first, 16 or so bars, and then just going to break down everything I did to finish making the beat and as well the arrangement. As well, you're actually probably going to notice things are going to seem a little bit louder. I went and did some mixing and mastering as well, just kind of got a little carried away. If you guys want me to go over that stuff too, I can. Just let me know, but I'll probably do that in a future video. And so here is all this, and then afterwards I'll show you guys how to make lyrics. So as you can see, it's a little bit different. I'm going to break down here the beat, then I'll go through and talk about the arrangement, the kind of intro that I did as well. From where I left off, I looked at the other recording. It was off the hi-hats. And so what I did for the hi-hats here, I really didn't want to do anything super crazy, right? You could take these and go absolutely insane, make your own like crazy rhythm and stuff. For this beat, it's a very laid back, simple beat, and plus the drums are already kind of moving a little bit. There's enough going on in the beat, so I just opted to have a simple two-step. But what I did do, if you look down here, you can see the velocity, right? The intensity in which the hi-hat is striking. It's alternating between loud and quiet. So, and I have it turned down a good bit, so it's a little harder to hear. Why is that actually not playing through my headset? What's going on? I'll have to look into that. But it's alternating. It's going to help give the beat a little bit more of a groove. Alright, so it seems to be working again. But you can hear how it's just got that little tiny groove to it. And the way that I did it, I actually took it from here. Make sure this green box is highlighted. Click here to edit your velocity and just boom, 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 boom. Right? You can do some other stuff as well. Pitch, note velocity, release velocity, all that stuff. But I really don't mess with it too much. Or really at all. So that's the hi-hat there. The other notable thing that I did, I added a synth bass, which I know I really wasn't planning on doing. And as well, I swapped out the 808 bass that I had before for that bass 2 I was talking about. This synth bass, the reason that I did it was I just wanted to add a little bit, like another little texture, another layer to the beat, because it just didn't seem like it quite had everything to it. It's kind of just adding a little bit more to the mid-range, and more or less is just kind of following along with the actual beat and the vocals. So you can kind of hear it here. And you can hear it really doesn't fit the actual like beat, but it's kind of like a nice contrast. And normally I wouldn't do this, but it just did seem to sound really nice. I was originally going to use it for a bass, but it sounded way better pitched up. So I threw it in. And then with that, then not actually being the bass, like I said on that EQ before, I have one on the master here, or I'll put one on. but that not actually being the bass, right? It's not really filling out anything down low. I needed an actual bass, so I took and very softly, very, very softly, I have it turned down a good bit. It's way down here on the master. I have a very, very minor 808 bass, just enough so you can kind of feel it, but not enough where it's overpowering. You see, if I turn it off, you can tell it's not there. Just a little smoother with it on. So that pretty much rounded out the actual beat. Up here, these different stems, I don't believe I had it split on the other one. All I did was I took and I, like I said, extracted the different stems from the sample. This one here was what was the low end. Is the main melody or the main chords, and then the actual vocals. And then that's really it to actually make that beat. And then I went and spread it out and arranged it. The next step in my process for arrangement, right, so it was essentially just starting with this here. I know the biggest part of the song I want to be the chorus and the hook. So that's really where I'm going to have all of the elements playing. I took out the hi-hats here just for a little bit of drop and loss in energy to get us ready to kind of go into that first verse. And this is really where you want it to be almost the lowest, minus kind of the bridge or the breakdown later on up here. And what you're really trying to do through most verses is you really want to start from a low point in energy and then just slowly build up until you get all the way right before the chorus again, and you want to drop a bunch of elements or drop some elements. So for example, here I'm almost coming back to like a full chorus, right? I took away the bass just for a little switch up so the audience doesn't get bored. Then coming up here again to the second hook, I dropped out the hats. You can actually see I have a little chunk of the bass missing. And only the main instrumental. And then it comes up. You hear that kind of drop out. And then it just slides really nicely into the chorus, the bass and everything playing again. Then coming out of this hook, which is the same exact as the beginning one, coming out of this hook, it then drops down into the breakdown. With this, I dropped a lot of the drums. I don't have the snare. It's going to come in here in a second. But I just have the bass, or, well, quote-unquote bass, but kind of like mid-tier bass, the vocals, and some of the chords. And now I'm starting to kind of build up that energy again. I'm going to bring those hi-hats in just for a moment. And then taking it out, getting ready to come in for that hook one last time. So it all flows really smoothly. But down here, what you'll notice, all of these are actually to help aid in that smoothness. This is just a transition, right? Anytime you have any sort of real shift, you don't want to make it too jarring to the audience. And if you're listening to your beat and you kind of feel like almost something comes on suddenly and doesn't feel quite right, it's probably because you need a transition. This can be some sort of drum fill. This can be maybe just a little bell. It really doesn't have to be much. All I have for mine here is this two little, like, and down here is, what are these things? Like a bongo and a shaker. I have them turned down, a good bit of reverb on them, so they're sitting kind of far in the background. And as well for the bongos, I have them pitch right, pitch left. I don't know where my other, oh, there's the bongo. Pitch left, pitch right, or pan right, pan right, pan left, and then one dead center, and then all their volumes down. Just make a nice little bada bada, and then transition. And that's the same transition I use the entire way through the song, except right here at the beginning, it's just scrape, scrape, drop in, and over here it's just the scrape, scrape. No particular reason as to why, I just thought it sounded better than having the full thing. And then last piece that I did for my intro, to cover this quick, is I took the original sample that I had, slowly faded it in using the master volume, and I automated it. And the way to do that is just right click on the master volume, create automation clip. It'll give you this huge long line, which is just corresponding with the intensity or the volume of the master. So it's slowly fading in and it's peaking at a lower level. Get ready. And then it gets loudest coming into the actual beat. And as well, this is good because I'm probably going to have some sort of intro talking my way in, so that way my voice is already there, and I'll just come in, it's not super jarring. And then this master will kind of do nicely with it. I might de-steepen it a little bit, we'll see, but I'll keep it down for now. For down here, I'll cover this kind of gross beat and pitch and tempo. So the gross beat, what this is doing is it's going to give us a little bit of a tape stop effect. You kind of hear it winding up. That's that almost getting ready for a tape stop. All I did was on that intro. Actually, I have it off. Whoa, don't know why that's happening. Huh. All right, so you'll notice I got rid of that. I was investigating it. So I originally had it on there for a tape stop effect, but I must have turned it off at some point. And the reason now why we're almost hearing a tape stop effect is because I took and I automated the pitch on this. So actually, so we'll see here. See, it's already looks like it's pitched up slightly. But then it just shoots up to kind of get this sample right up to where the actual sample is for the beat. That pitching up is giving it a little bit of that tape stop effect combined with the fact, so down here, I have the tempo automated, the BPM. You can right click and create automation clip, and then it'll plop it as well. And then just the more you increase it, the more your BPM is going to increase. And you'll notice up here, just as it goes, it's going to slowly increase until it gets right before the main beat. And that's why you hear that speed up. And the combination of those two is actually making that tape stop effect and no longer the gross beat. So, although you can make a tape stop effect in gross beat, I had it, I must have just taken it off and not remembered. But that really covers everything I did in the meantime, minus some of the mixing and mastering. But once again, I can make another video on that later if you guys want. Just let me know in the comments. From here, what I'm going to do to make lyrics, right? So now we're kind of moving into that lyrical phase since the beat more or less is done. We might make some changes to kind of go with the lyrics, but for the most part, this is set, right? We have 3 hooks and 2 verses, solid. If you want, you could do a third verse afterwards, but you do not have to. And also here at the end, I doubled up the hook just so it has some room to fade out. You can just see it's going down there, and the master's coming down. Anyways, lyrics. To make lyrics, my typical and usual writing process is I'll just put the beat on my main speakers and I'll actually just kind of pace around, try and see what I'm feeling, try and put some words to it. Another method that I have used and is, to be frank, really good and typically yields better results, so I'm probably going to keep doing it. All right, we'll keep doing it. Is you want to play the beat and more or less mumble or scat along and you just want to make as many flows, lyrical patterns, no real words to it. You're basically doing gibberish. You want to do that along the beat and make as many different flows as you can. Listen to it back afterwards and see which ones you find fit the best, right? Because your voice is an instrument and you're trying to find it to be hitting or hit the right spots, like almost like right notes, timing the right notes. And then once you have that kind of outline, that blueprint, then it's almost just like a puzzle of seeing what words you want to get into it and then kind of building, some rhyme schemes or singing, however you want to do it. So we'll see how I can get this set up because let's see. Nice. So I just did in one. You can probably hear an echo. I'll just take and delink that from the master. You can see this here is picking up my voice. I have it set arm to record. And so I'm just going to tell FL Studio to record then. And I'm just going to try and do some mumbling. I'll do it here for the chorus, maybe and probably into the first verse or into the first verse as well, just to kind of give you guys an idea. Then I'm going to go and do it the whole song by myself and then kind of pick up with you guys right after. So here's this. So there's my little scat. You can see it down here. I don't have any sort of vocal mixing set up at the moment. So I'm just going to take this, put it on 13. And the only thing, major difference, I'll take out the low end. It's not going to sound great, but it'll get the point across. I'm just normalizing it because that bolsters the volume up to 0 dB or 0 decibels. So we'll see where this takes us. So actually, that turned out pretty decent. The only part I didn't really like was right around here. And now I'm going to go and just kind of fit words into it to then come up with a hook and a verse. Normally, and what I'll likely do is honestly just do a couple more shots, see if there's anything that I like better. And then, like I said, the best one I'll just put the words into. So I'm going to go ahead and do that there for the entire song and then come back and kind of show you guys what I did and how I did it. All right, hello, welcome back. Really, I shouldn't say it because it's all going to be one video for you guys. Although, welcome back to me because it's been a couple days since I filmed that last segment. And as you can see, I did a good bit more stuff. So I'm going to be kind of talking a little bit more about the lyrics that I went and made and kind of running you guys through the song. So I did have a very large mumbled clip for kind of just figuring out the flow and where I want to put the lyrics and how to fit, have different sounds. I'm going to fit words into them. I don't know what happened to this little gap down here. Maybe I just deleted it. But I went and wrote out those lyrics. I didn't use the mumble the entire time. There were some times I just didn't feel like it fit. And I tried to mumble something else, and maybe that did, or maybe it didn't. And then I would just either write something in, because that really is more my style, but the mumbling itself is a really good way to start and get a good flow. Otherwise, like you'll sing or rap over something, and you think it sounds good, but then you play it back, it's like, wow, this sounds like ass. So, anyways, I'm gonna run you guys through basically what I did here to make everything. Now, lyrics are definitely my weaker point, but I can really show you guys a little bit from the production side. So I'm gonna let a little bit of this play out and then pause and just reiterate everything I did. So starting off here, just even on this first intro section, and actually before I talk about that, I don't think I had this consolidated in the last clip. all I did was I took the entire beat up here, I highlighted it, so like Control left click, then Control Alt C. Oh well, they're saying they're all, so I can actually, saying they're all muted. I could like do that, then Control Alt C. Oh, poopy, where'd that go? Oh, anyways, if I wanted to consolidate just this, I mean, it's one track, but consolidate everything, I could. And then it would put it into one rendered clip, which is a lot less load on the computer. Because whenever your music is playing, so for example, right here, just this part's playing, the computer has to render and process everything all at once. So it can be a lot of strain, and then if it gets overloaded, you'll get a lot of cracks and snapples, and snaps and pops and stuff, and unpleasant sounds. So what you really want to do is you can render so that way there's a lot less CPU load. Anyways, coming back to the beginning here, this is just that intro. It was just the beat starting out, and then it speeds up, kind of gives a little tape stop effect. Here it is. I'm feeling fine. So now in here, what I have, so this is just the main vocals. These here are some backing vocals, and these here are auto-tuned vocals, just to give it a little bit, make it a little thicker at the chorus. And then this right here is the automation to make a little bit of a reverb swell when we hit this kind of main hook part. So, and I can show this to you. I have the my main vocals here linked over to the reverb, and then when I play, this actually drops down. You'll actually see right here, this will drop off, right? There'll be less vocals sent to the reverb to kind of make it a little bit drier for when the verse comes in. Come on in. I'm just sitting inside. You see how that kind of came off a bit, just a small little touch. So here for the chorus, I'll let you guys hear it. It's just the three sets of vocals. Once again, the main vocal, backing, and then a pitched up 1 octave. My vocal's pitched up 1 octave, such a Stretch Pro, so it kind of maintains the formant, and auto-tuned. I'm feeling fine. I keep my whole mind in a place of doubt. I won't come out. I'd scream and shout. Come on in. Come on in. I'm just sitting inside now. And there it just drops into the verse. And this here is pretty standard, coming up for the first half at least. Then, just to have a little bit of a switch, I have that transition, that kind of bongo hitting sound right there at the 21st measure. And then it goes into another set of backing vocals, just same exact as I did for my doubles before, my double vocals. So that way they're hearing 2 sets of my vocals at once. So you can hear. At least my hangover's fading. I watch my favorite shows, raps and bros. Life is fast, need to keep it slow. My products for dopamine lows. A great day, I don't. So it just makes it a little bit thicker. Then in the last little bit of the verse, the last chord of the verse, last 4 bars, I add some ad-libs as well. The first one's a little quieter, so that way it's not too jarring. And then the second 2 are much more audible. I don't know, anxious, there's a bill for that. No insurance, there's a bill for that. Quick bank loan, 8 mil for that. I'm told this is life, I'm thrown to have. Feeling fine, I keep my whole. Then we just ride right back into the verse, same exact, or the chorus, same exact deal. And actually, right before we got into it, if you guys rewind the video a little bit, you'll see my CPU load actually starting to spike, and that's where it gets into, you know, you can start getting those cracks and pops, and if I hadn't consolidated this, it definitely would have been an issue. I'm feeling fine, I keep my whole mind in a place of doubt. I've got another ad-lib here. I won't come out, I'd scream and shout, come on in, come on in. Now we're going to get into the breakdown of the song, where you can even see on the waveform there's just a lot less for the vocals to compete with. And as well, since there's very little in the way of any like rhythmic instruments like the drums, I think I just have a little bit of guitar and a little bit of vocal in the background. It gives you a lot of flexibility in what flow you can use in singing.
I really just followed the original singing from this sample, but I could have gone a lot of different directions with it if I really wanted to. There's a lot more freedom kind of in that breakdown section.
You learn so fast. You drive so hard. And silence, baby. Don't change those locks. We'll be alright. We will survive.
No judging my singing. I was never a singer. We're working on it. But now practice makes perfect, so leave me alone. But coming up now, we're going to get more into another verse, kind of a little bit more contrast against that singing, really helps keep the audience engaged.
What if we did let that outside in? What if we were normal but just not to them? What if we just listened to your boy Ben? What if we followed our bodies again? I don't want a pill for that. I don't need a deal for that. I do need sleep for me. I do need me to be the best I can be. I'm feeling fine. I keep my
Right back into the chorus for the last one. I have that ending part loop here, and then what I should do is have the master do an automation. I'll show you how to do that. So create an automation clip. Down, and then from there, some point, take that, pull it down. So that way over time, this fader on the master will just slowly drop. And it's real easy coasting to the end of the song. And there you have it. That's basically everything. I'll probably add some sort of intro, and then that should be about it for the song. I'm going to go ahead and post the whole thing if anyone wants to kind of listen to more of the niche stuff. I know I talked through a good bit of it. You might want to hear it unbroken. So I'll be posting that along with this if anyone wants to listen to it. Also, if you just want to listen to it, that'd be cool too. But that's pretty much everything. I hope you guys learned something. Sorry the video went a little long, but there's a good bit that goes into music making, and I plan on continually producing these entire tutorials every time I make a song. Makes me better, and hopefully I can pass that on to you to help you be better making music as well. So if you did enjoy that, please subscribe, like if you want. Comment would also be great. I'll take any questions too. So thanks for paying attention and giving me some of your time. Have a wonderful end of 2024. Peace.